Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell in the upper right hand corner. Follow me on all forms of social media. Check me out at thatdrummerguy.com and enjoy the following presentation.
All right, great. Sorry, I must not have gotten that message. I have a lot of messages, and I'm trying to keep track of them all, but it's a little bit daunting at times.
Oh, not a problem. I just appreciate you taking the time to be able to do this and talk about what's going on in the world of the rods.
Well, I really appreciate the support. We all do.
Oh, awesome. Well, of course, the brand new album from the Rods, Brotherhood of Metal, is going to be coming out June 7th through Steamhammer. I've gotten the chance to be able to check this album out over the last week and a half, and I just really love what's going on with this album. I mean, I love the diversity of what's going on there. Your playing is amazing, and it just feels like such a great album to listen to from start to finish.
Well, I can't thank you enough for the kind words. That's exactly what we tried to do. We tried to set out to make this album something we could play live and for the fans, because a lot of times you get in the studio and you wind up producing something that later on you're like, wow, we can't really duplicate this live. And that was the deal. And we also wanted it to be something that was start to finish, no ballads, nothing for your mom, just straight ahead. If you like the first song, hopefully you're going to like the last song. But if you don't like the first song, odds are good you might not like to the last song. So we just tried to make that kind of a record, and I think we were fairly successful. So I appreciate you saying that you get it, what we were trying to do.
Oh, absolutely, and sometimes you just need an album like that. I mean, be it the listener, be it the ones that are actually making the album, just a fun, straight-ahead, fun metal album, and that's exactly what's pulled off here.
Yeah, I think if I were, and I always say this when I produce bands, I always think about, when I first listened to music and listened to albums, I love the fact that there would be things that were not perfect, but things that had the vibe, and the album was just an album. It was a set of songs, a complete set of songs that were meant to be in that collection, and, that's what I think we've done here.
Yeah, and, again, just like when I listen to it, I mean, there's just like such a great feel with it, musically, lyrically, and again, your playing just matches the music so well. I mean, sometimes you're going over the top with Phil, sometimes you're just playing straight ahead and just playing for the songs, and I really appreciate your style that's going on with the album as well.
Thank you, I appreciate that, because being an old guy, it's not easy, staying on top of it, but I practice and I study as much as I can, and, I do my best to be on top of what's going on.
Oh, absolutely. So, with that in mind, obviously, with the ideal of this album for Brotherhood of Metal, you, of course, released a single, Louder Than Loud, which has a great tribute to Lemmy in the lyrics as well. I mean, is that why it was chosen as the single?
It was, I think that was really something that came about, as it wasn't necessarily about Lemmy so much as it was a song that we thought was out of the box identifiable. I think there are other tracks that are as strong or stronger, but we all thought that song kind of captured the essence of what the album is about. If you like that one, you're probably going to want to hear the other ones.
Yeah, and that's actually a really good point with it too, because I feel like it's a great song that shows off what the band and the album is about, but it doesn't give everything away for the album, because right. I mean, there's some great stuff that's going on there, like Smoke on the Horizon. I love the organ that's going on with that. Like Tonight We Ride has an amazing feel to it. I mean, there's so many great songs on this album, and it's just so fun to listen to from start to finish.
Yeah, well, thanks. I'm so glad to hear that. It was a fun record to do. I mean, I had total freedom, and I still hear things, as you always do. Josh, I'm assuming you're a drummer as well.
Oh, yes.
And when you play stuff and you listen to it and you go, oh, that's pretty good, I guess I'll keep that. And then you come back to it, a week, a day, a month, a year, whatever, and you go, oh, what the hell was I thinking? Why did I play that? I wish I played some different kind of thing, or I could have played something better, and especially when you play them live. So there are a couple spots that I think, oh, I might have played something differently. But overall, I tried to play for the song, and I also appreciated having the freedom. Sometimes David writes, David and Gary are both drummers, so when David writes songs, he leaves a lot of room for the drums.
Yeah, and I was wondering if that was the case or not, because it really does feel like the songs are written with a drummer in mind to be able to do their own thing with it. I mean, whether it was something that he would have came up with or with what you're capable of.
Right, and on the song Party All Night, that song has his idea for a drum beat, and totally everything I played in that was what he dictated to me, what he asked me to play. I didn't change. There's not one riff of mine in there. It was all David's ideas, every bit of it, everything.
Yeah, and again, that really shows like what you're capable of as well. I mean, physically being able to play what you think is right for a song, or being able to play what someone else has an idea for the song. I mean, it's great to be able to have that kind of versatility.
Well, and it's also, I think it's cool to work as a team, which we're able to do. And, that's the nice thing that in the band, that we have that. Like, for example, when I write songs for the band, I demo them. I'll throw my guitar down when I feel like I have a roughed out part. I'll put my bass on and play a bass track, and then I'll go add drums to it. And then I'll sing a crappy vocal that they have to suffer through, and to give them an idea of the song, and then I'll send it off, and I call them my 30-minute demos. But on 1982, I had written the guitar solo for the little harmony parts and the climbs, and David loved it, and he said, I'm just going to keep that. And he kept what I played he duplicated what I did. So just like I respected what he did, he respected what I did, and it's just a case of, if what he suggested was right for the song, and what I suggested was right for the song, and nobody's ego got in the way, well, I have to do my own solo, or no, I'm going to do my own drum group. It's just, if it works for the song, let's just go with it.
Yeah, and it's great to see after all this time that you guys still have that power behind what you guys can do. I mean, just that chemistry that's going on ever since the first album, and now being able to continue that now with this new album, whether you're playing different instruments or you're playing what you're known for in the rods. I mean, just being able to keep that up and just keep everything as fun as it was.
Yeah, I do think that I play a lot. I do a lot of recordings, and I do I play with a local 8-piece horn band, so I play regularly, and I do gigs with Adam Baum as well. I don't know if you've heard of Adam Baum. He's in Europe right now touring, but Adam lives near me, so he contacted me, and we've done some dates, and it's been fun. We actually did an album of cover songs about 6 months ago. But I just came back from Miami a week ago, finishing up the new St. James album, and also have a Canedy album, which we're almost finished, almost completed. So that's all original material that the four of us, it's a band project this time, that the four of us wrote together and performed as a band, really. And I'm really excited. So I try to keep my chops up. I think Gary and David are playing better than ever. And so I think the old sound is still there. And I laugh because those guys still run around stage like they did 40 years ago, and it cracks me up. I'm like, you guys shouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah, and again, that's what I love so much about the spirit of the rods. And I mean, you can tell it from the first album, you can tell it with Brotherhood of Metal. I mean, it's just, there's that great fun feel that's going on with the album. And, it's great to see that outside of the rods that you are able to show off so many different sides of what you're doing, whether it's in front of the kit, behind the kits, and behind the mixing board, whatever the case is. I mean, the fact that you are able to show off your love of music in so many different ways.
No, it's great. It's great to have that outlet, and I think, that saying that musicians don't retire, they just die. I think there's something to that. I think it's true. I think when you have a passion for music, I feel the same way I do now as I did when I was 13 and got my first set of drums. I look at them, I get excited, I want to play them. Oh, let me beat on those things, and that's how I am to this day. I got to go practice. I want to go play my drums. So I still have the passion for it all these years later. So
with that in mind, when you are playing drums with the various projects, how much does your setup change when you're playing? I've gotten now, Josh, it's funny because I've probably been very rigid up until now, but with the rods, I always played a double bass kit with 4 mounted tom-toms. And then with Jeffrey James, I play 3 mounted toms, 1 kick drum, double kick pedal, 2 floor toms, always 2 floor toms. But now I'll say, you know what? I'm just going to throw up 1 tom-tom. I'm going to play with 2 floor toms. I'll do a John Bonham kit. I'll play with that. Now I just mix it up: 3 toms, 2 toms, 1 tom, mounted toms I'm talking about. But now I don't. I'm not as rigid as I once was. My recording set is the Pearl Masters, and with the glass finish, and they are 4 mounted toms, 2 floor toms. But live, I'm just playing whatever strikes me. Oh, and I love hearing that too. And again, it shows the versatility of what you can do too, because I know some drummers only feel comfortable with one particular setup, and the fact that you're able to try these different ideas, I mean, like various cymbals or switching out the tom-toms and, you know, just switching out the configurations, I mean, it shows what you're capable of.
I think it's helped me in a lot of ways because it's such a rut. So when I went to record the Atom Bomb, and when we were working on the Canedy album, I would go and I would play the Cliff, the owner of the studio where we rehearsed and wrote. Cliff had his own set, which was, I think it was single bass, one tom. It was a really weird setup for me, very different. So I played it, and I got used to it, and it started making me think about patterns and fills differently when I was writing the Canedy album, and I liked it. It was a freedom. It was like somebody said, wow, all these projects, doesn't it make you crazy? You rehearse with Jeffrey James, you know, then you're working on the Canedy album, and then you're working on other projects. Doesn't it make you nuts? I'm like, no, and the Canedy album was like it felt more like a hobby because it was different, and I was using my brain in a different way to work on the music, and it was refreshing, and it was invigorating for me. So I found that changing up the setup really kind of helped me. Just as playing cover music with Jeffrey James does. I try to, you know, digest what the drummer's playing and get the grooves and then incorporate my style to it. We have a joke in the band, the bass player and I, that when we're playing whatever song it is, and I'll play some fill that is so off the wall, and the guys, you know, they just tolerate it because they always say, you know, Carl will come back on one. It doesn't matter how crazy it sounds like it's going off the tracks. Just go to one, and he'll be there. And so it's the joke. But the bass player and I, when I play a crazy fill, we look at each other, and he'll say Motown because, you know, I'll play these fills in Motown, and sometimes I play these little funky double bass parts in Motown, which nobody at Motown ever thought of playing, or they would have killed themselves before they played a fill like that on a recording. But I throw them in because it adds a little excitement to the stuff. So that's why we laugh about the crazy fills being Motown fills, which is totally not. But anyway, it's helped changing up the configuration. It's made me a stronger drummer, I think, because I have to think differently instead of just rigidly one style and all that. Got to go to this tom-tom first and play this type of fill. It makes me change it up.
And it's funny you bring that up about doing cover gigs and throwing in fills like that, because I used to do the same thing when I was in the cover circuit around here as well. Like, not always, but I would love to be able to just do that once in a while. Just throw in these crazy fills over these different kinds of songs, you know, just to vary it up and see if the people out in the crowd actually are paying attention or if we're just background music for the people. And it's so fun to do that, especially when you are able to get back on one and, you know, it's like, oh, wow, I never noticed that part of the song before you hear out in the crowd, even though it's just you adding your own interpretation to it.
No, a lot of people in the crowd react to it. They like it. It adds an excitement to it. When I first joined the Jeffrey James, there were some musicians in the band who weren't, I don't want to say as strong, but they were just very set in their ways on how things were done. And I would play a fill, and literally sometimes they would stop playing because they would just be lost. They would just hear what I was playing, and they would stop playing. So now over the years, the guys are really good. Nobody stops playing. They're used to Carl going off. And, you know, but in the early days, it used to crack me up because they would just stop. In a gig, like, would just stop and start playing again. I'm like, what was that about? I don't know. I just didn't know where the fill was going. I didn't understand it, and I just stopped. And I almost stopped playing, you know, I almost stopped doing the cover thing. My daughter, who's now a music teacher, she's 28, and knock on wood, she's been recommended for tenure this year, so I'm so proud of her. But wow. She's a voice major, and she sang on the Canedy album. She sang on Show Me the Way Back Home, a song I produced for Held Hostage with Joe Lynn Turner singing lead, and on the song that Ronnie Dio sang on the Vengeance album, she sang backups on that. And but anyway, I was going to leave, and my daughter said, why would you leave? You love playing your drums. This gets you out. It gets you playing your drums. And so why would you leave that? And I thought, wow, that's a really good point. And from that point on, I started turning it into, I'll learn to play this song with my left hand. The other night, we did Roadhouse Blues, and to end the night, and I played with my left foot on the bass drum. I'm like, I'm just going to try this, see if I can do this. And there was nobody there at the end of the night. It was a benefit that was a failed attempt, and the poor people, it was a shame because it was a very good cause for cancer. But so for the very last song, it was virtually nobody. And so I thought, well, it's not going to matter if I don't play it very well with my left foot. But it was a good experiment. So all of those things add up to like a practice and, good opportunity to expand my playing.
Oh yeah, I'm very much used to that as well. With I mainly did bar cover shows, and always by the end of the night when the bartenders are starting to kick people out, there was not much people left at the end of the crowd, or at the end of the night. So I would always try to experiment just a little bit more to see if I could add something new, like either do like a double bass fill, or to try playing either one-handed if I could do it, or switching up with a left-hand configuration, just to have some fun with it and try to grow as a drummer.
That's right. Sometimes like when I'm playing overhand and I go to an open-handed sticking when normally I wouldn't if it were a big crowd, but I'll just work on that. So it gives me opportunity to experiment.
And with that in mind, I mean, obviously being able to go from like Motown covers to doing something with the rods to your own work, I mean, being able to do all of this great variation on your playing and everything, and being able to see yourself grow as a musician, a drummer, behind the studio, everything that's going on there. I mean, that's just got to be such a great feeling to be able to accomplish all of this and be able to continue going strong with it.
It is a great thing. I mean, I love recording at home. I hate it and I love it. I love being able to just sit down and my drums are mic'd and tuned and ready to go. Just turn it on and can sit down and play. On the other hand, when I'm playing and I want to do a punch in, I have to go back. I have to start, go to the engineering side of it and cue it up. And that's a pain because it takes you out of the moment. And but overall, I mean, I love being able to record at home. I can experiment. I'm not paying $50 to $80 an hour only to go, wow, that sucked. When you get it out of the studio, you really suck, pal. So now I can go, you really suck, pal, while I'm home and can fix it and go back and go, well, give it another shot. Try not to bring so much stupid to the track next time.
Yeah, and it's great to see that there is that. I mean, obviously there is that when you take the financials out of it, there is that fun experience of being in the studio, being able to try different setups, sometimes that pressure of like, okay, I am paying X amount an hour. I want to be able to get these tracks as good as I possibly can in that time frame. But when you are able to be at home, just like you said, you do have more of that power to be able to fix any mistakes, go back and really work on the tracks and really make them your own. And when you're able to invest in yourself like that to make sure that you get the best possible sound and the best possible takes, that can only be for the best.
No, absolutely. And, I let things go. I've learned to not make it so crazy that I want to, like the minutia of it. It's like, let's go for a feel. I've been able to do that over the years to learn that it's okay if it's a little rough, a little rough edges here or there, as long as the feel is there, as long as it's a solid, energizing track, it's okay if it's not flawless.
Oh yeah, because it's about what's going on in the song, and that's absolutely what's going on with the rods. Even though I love your playing with it, it is so much about what's the vibes of the songs and just making them as fun as possible, and you absolutely accomplish that behind the kits with your ideas for the album along with the rest of the guys, and it just makes for an amazing album.
Well, thanks so much. I really appreciate that. When you do these things, you never know how they're going to be taken. And you sit on it for a couple of months going, oh my God, is anybody going to like this? So it's great to hear, Josh, that you actually appreciate the album.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, from a drumming standpoint, from a musician standpoint, and just from a music listener standpoint, there's so much to take away from this album. And of course, the most important thing with it is just to be able to have fun with it, because we need to have albums like that from start to finish where you can just listen to it and just have fun listening to it.
Yeah, I think that's important. That's how I looked at producing albums, and also from when I was a kid, listening to albums. It was always about that being a collection of songs, as an album, and I love that.
Oh, very much so. So, with that in mind, obviously, with this coming out June 7th through Steamhammer, is there anything else that's going on with the rods this year?
We have some dates we may announce, but I can't yet, and
sure.
So hopefully there'll be some live dates. I'm excited about getting out there and playing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, with the entire vibe of this album being so fun to listen listen to, being so heavy in so many different ways, I can only imagine how much more fun it'll be to be able to play these songs live.
Yeah, I mean, I think these are so anthemic that it'll be fun. I'm hoping that the crowd will catch on and be singing them back to us and, energize the whole place.
Oh, absolutely. So, again, with that in mind, of course, you touched on a couple things prior outside of the Rods, but what else should people be looking forward to with yourself coming up this year?
Well, I have the new Canedy album, which will be hopefully releasing before the end of the year, and I'm excited. A great singer, great band, and so that's great, all original material, and it's different from anything I've done. And then the St. James album, which is, again, almost done, and that's very different, too, because that's more of a college radio, a Counting Crows, a Black Crows. It's a totally different feel for me, and we recorded it in Miami, and I used a John Bonham kit, and one pedal, no double kick. I think I used a double kick on the last session, or maybe one or two songs, but not predominantly, just for some fills. So it's a different approach to playing. I tuned the drums up high, the snare lower, and Bonham style, and I'm excited about that album as well. So, and I have a couple of other things. I just played drums on a song for Jim Crean, who singer with Apathy or A Piece, the Drum Wars, and I have a couple of other things. I'm just doing a single for someone in Federica from Italy, her new single, and I have other projects going, that I'm playing on. John Hahn's new solo album, which is amazing. I've done a couple tracks for him.
Oh, wow, that's just incredible to see the versatility of what you can do as a drummer, both original music, fill-in gigs, full-on bands, so many different styles that you're able to incorporate. Just the fact that you're able to do all of this, keeping so busy, having so much fun behind the kit, and otherwise, I mean, it's just such an amazing thing to see in 2019.
Well, I just feel blessed that I can do it. I'm amazed and I'm inspired. The more I do, the more I want to do. It's so just gonna keep doing it until I can. Like I said, that thing I used to see about musicians don't retire; they just die. And I used to think, the hell does that mean? But then I realized that it's true. If you're a musician, you just want to rock until you can.
Oh, so very true. And I think with that, that's an amazing note to end on. And thank you so very much for taking this time to be able to talk to me about everything going on in your world. And of course, the brand new album from the Rods, Brotherhood of Metal, which is coming out June 7th through Steamhammer. Again, I love this album from start to finish. It was great to be able to get your insight into the band, and so much to look forward to with you as well. I mean, whether it's the upcoming live shows that will soon to be announced, and all of the other various things that you get to play on, produce, and everything else going on, it was just great to be able to talk to you.
Josh, thank you so much for the support. We really appreciate it.